Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the DECALab webinar on solar energy on coaches. This webinar is organized in collaboration with Green Energy Group. So what's on the menu for this morning? First, I will start with a short introduction on the DECALab project itself. After that, project partner Steven de Meyer of the KU Leuven will briefly describe the purpose of the solar panel tests and their place within the project. Finally, René Kierkegaard from Green Energy will take the stage to provide an overview of their products and the pilot program. And then afterwards, we will end with a Q&A from the audience. DECALab, or Decarbonization of Long-Haul Vehicles, spans a period of 3 years, starting on the 1st of May 2025, and will continue until April the 30th, 2028. Its main focus is the possibility and investigation of adopting alternative fuels and propulsion technologies for coaches, other than diesel, of course. First of all, in this project, we will examine the life cycle analysis of 16 sorts of fuel types, whereafter we will create a matrix with the acquired information. Secondly, after creating the matrix, we will carry out tests with the fuel that we believe, of course, in consultation with the advisory committee, have a potential future in the decarbonization of the coach fleet. This includes conducting on-road tests, including those involving solar panels, which we will discuss today, as well as laboratory tests at the Vives Kortrijk facilities. Finally, considering the matrix and the tests, a decision-making application will be developed that will allow companies to determine which type of fuel best suits their needs, with the main goal being guidance for future fleet choices. The project partners of this project are Busweld Foundation, Vives, and the KU Leuven, BAV, and Vebetra. This, of course, with the support of the Flemish government, VLAIO. And now I will give the floor to Steven, who will explain you more about the tests itself.
Yes, good morning. So I will present my screen. I hope you can see it. Yeah, okay. Good morning. So my name is Steven from KU Leuven. We are doing part of the research here in this project. There are several aspects of what we are discussing today in this webinar is the research on what can bring rooftop solar panels for range extension. That's one part. We're doing some other research also in the comparing the diesel with alternative fuel, but then in real world vehicle emissions, and also some laboratory research if the not possible in real world conditions. Also in collaboration with the people from Vives, which I see are also present. Hi, Steven. When I was first asked from, hey, Steven, do you want to participate in a project of solar panel on diesel bus? I said, really? What is that going to bring? Yeah, because they have a very long haul buses. So we don't have yet fully electric vehicles on that. They consume a lot. So how will we have their savings on that one? But after diving in, I'm more positive than in the beginning, I have to say. So, and that's something that we want to see, really analyze in depth. So, is it technically feasible? What is the realistic range extension that solar panels can give, and under what conditions? What's the impact on the long term? If you can also look over there. Is there an economic business case? Because it can be technical feasible, but if the economic business case is not there, but should you do it? And what is then the ideal sizing for this having this business case? And what are main parameters, variables to which the results are dependent on? Solar panels on vehicles, you have different types. I hear a few on rolling vehicles, I have to say. I'm not sure that the left one from KU Leuven, you can call it a car. but still it drives by itself, and it did won an extreme race last year in South Africa. I did choose the one of last year because this year we did not win, but okay. Anyhow, also you see some experimental types. You will perhaps recognize the Lightyear, which not goes in production, so it's not always that rosy. But there are already testings ongoing, but also already on running cars. It's already working. There's some testing going. This one is on Poland, for example, a full year interesting test. What have they done? Okay, what can it produce? It was a city bus. The technology of solar panels is still evolving. It's not very readable, but it gives you the impression, the direction on the left side. This one is on the efficiency, how the efficiency of solar panels is still evolving. So in commercial panels, which are at a sharp price, I think we are now at around 22%. Experiments are already going up to 47%. If you with perovskite, that's a new thing, which is really pumping up. Not yet commercially, but they're above the 30%. So it's still evolving while the price is going down. This is on the right side. We're flattening out a bit the last year, but prices still are really going down. So the more expensive is the installation. Often, if you build on a house, and that the solar panels itself are rather cheap. Good to know. But we have a different type of solar panels. I think the left one on your screen, you will recognize that is the one which you see on rooftops. Downside, a lot of metal also, weighs 20 for the bigger ones, even to above 30 kilograms. You don't want that on a bus. Then you also have the flexible ones, but in different types, and that's what's also important. You have different type of technologies. This is more silicium based. This is more copper, indium, gallium, selenium based. Also different type how they are produced, but important to know because you have different technologies which you can use, different type of solar cells. I think one of those two is the ones which you would probably see on vehicles, because those are the light ones you see it per square meter, and not, of course, this one. Are they being used because often you see on a stable connection or the stable underground? Well, you do see solar panels a bit everywhere now. You see them in space where they used a lot. You even see them in a cabin which is in somewhere in the Alps on a glacier where they're being used on military vehicles. Perhaps that's one here on a boat is perhaps for me one of the most speaking, because if you can have something which works on an ocean with a lot of salt water, and where you can walk on, and where there's a lot of different type of shading, and it's something which you can use, well, it means that your technology is already quite robust. So perhaps also feasible on different vehicles than boats, for example, on buses. Of course, very big dependence on the irradiation, on the how much do your solar panels bring energy. It's a lot dependent on where do you drive, where are the solar panels located. Of course, if you go during summer to the south of Spain, or you're going in the winter looking for the northern light in Finland, it will be a big difference in how many irradiation energy you get from your solar panels. Also, where exactly you're driving, is it an open terrain, or are you in the middle of a city, always between big buildings with a lot of shading? Also, that, of course, will have an impact. But in summary, for us, the desk research that we've done, well, it looks promising. But for us, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So that's where we think it would be really interesting to have some pilots done. We have now one provider of solar panels, which is here, Green Energy, and who will make the proposition here on a pilot. We're also still in discussion with other potential providers. From a moment that would be, we have a concrete proposal there. We will also let you know that. And that we will combine with the research and tests from KU Leuven, ideally on the same buses, so that we can have different types of tests and seeing that we have the right data and the right outcome. This was for the part for KU Leuven. So René from Green Energy, I think the floor is yours now.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. I will then open my presentation. So it should be open now, correct? You see it? Great. So green energy, we are in reality, we are not working with solar panels. We are working with fuel efficiency and fuel savings and range extension. And our tool to reach that is then the solar panels. The agenda would be through driving fuel efficiency, solar systems for buses, how we measure, some customer cases. We run something we call a pilot. I would talk a little bit about that, how we price, and next step. First of all, I would talk a little bit about green energy. What is green energy? Green energy is a Danish company, a green tech scale-up. We focus on practical, impactful, and cost-effective solar innovation. We are by far the leading provider of advanced solar solutions for commercial transport in Europe. We had headquarters in Denmark and have operation in numerous of countries in Europe with own people, and then we also have representatives in, I think, in 15 other countries. Our solution drives fuel efficiency, as I mentioned before, profitability, and then of course also when you use less fuel, then you also have a decarbonization impact. In the spring of this year, we were selected by Børsen, that's the Danish Financial Times, as one out of 40 sustainable cases for 2025. You need to apply for that and be selected. So that we were pretty proud about being selected for that. Yeah, on the right side, you see a video where a bus or more different buses has been installed in different countries. We have installations in, I think, in 15 countries in Europe already. This one is in London. Coming back to what is it actually we are doing? We make solar systems for diesel and electric commercial vehicles. Our highest focus is on the internal combustion engine vehicles. As Stephen also informed that KU Leuven is now testing different fuels, and we have also been delivering to different fuel applications like LPG and also HVO, and of course also diesel. And we see an impact in all these fuel applications. Our systems drive fuel efficiency by using solar power to reduce the load on the engine to charge the batteries. I come back to how we install it and how we implement it in one of the next slides. And then, of course, also there would be a CO2 footprint reduction. It's a proven product. We are recognized by a lot of industry leaders, and we have more than 2,200 vehicles installed and operational in Europe already. Not only buses, this is a mixture of buses and trucks. Here we have some of our customers and partners. If we look at the bus side, which I believe would be most interesting for the audience here, we have a cooperation with Flixbus. We are delivering to UMove, to OVG in Germany, Blagos in Austria, EI Travel in Ireland, Frota Azul in Portugal, Anderson Travel in London, Car2 in Spain, Global Travel in Hungary, Oostenrijk in the Netherlands. So that was just to mention some of our customers that we are having at the moment. And then we, of course, also work with the manufacturers. Now it says truck manufacturers, but that also, many of those also make buses. And we often has the installation done in the service in the service workshops from the OEM suppliers, if the bus company is not having its own workshop or specialized bus workshop suppliers also. When we are talking about fuel efficiency, there's a lot of things that can be done, and you are most probably already doing a lot of those. Eco-driving training and telematics and driver feedback is the two that has the highest impact, although it has a high effort or a medium to high effort, because you have to follow up all the time and do a lot of training. Solar panels, the model, the type that we are supplying, is on the third place here with 3 to 12% saving. It has a low effort, and that is mainly due to a quite quick installation, 4 to 6 hours. That means minimal disruption. With 2 persons, you can install a bus in 4 to 6 hours. It's maintenance free, so there's no maintenance beside what you normally do with your bus. It can be washed in the normal washing machines for vehicles, etc. So there's no complication into that. It's a relatively low investment. It also extends the battery life, and then it has a documented CO2 reduction and also fuel saving. If you have some questions, you are welcome to interrupt. And if they are technical, I have brought my technical support with me, Matthias, to answer technical questions if it comes beyond what I can answer. We have talked a little bit about fuel efficiency now. Also, if we go to the battery side, because we are charging the normal 24 voltage battery system on the buses. And we have seen up to 3 times battery life extension towards what the customers normally are seeing. We have customers who has installed in 21 our system, and they are changing the batteries for the first time now. And that's a Swedish customer who normally was changing the batteries every year. So it also helps a lot and makes a more reliable transport also with less breakdowns, and of course less cost. The system that is based on a solar panel, we use the solar panel type called CIGS. It's based on a very thin stainless steel sheet plate where the cables are put on, and then it's treated with copper, indium, gallium, and selenide gases to make the whole panel work. And then on top, it has a durable, what's it called? Protection film, 22 layers protection film to make it last in the operational field. The CIGS is different from other types. It's like if you have a car, you can say that I have a car, but everybody knows that there's a difference between a Fiat and a Mercedes, and that's the same with solar panels. There are different technologies and different ways of doing it, and our solution has been made from beginning to the transport industry, and not as the crystalline type that's also often seen in the transport industry, where it's based on a glass panel that has been laminated and then used in transport, whereas it's still glass, so it will eventually crack and have some internal difficulties because it breaks the wiring lines on the in the panel. Then we have a charge controller. It's an IoT charge controller. This means that you would be able to follow it on an app, your systems, or you would be able to follow it on a software system where you can see the whole fleet and you can dig into the individual vehicle, where you can see a lot of technical information about the charging and the battery levels. And you can also see how much you are producing and how much diesel you are saving and CO2 you are saving. That's the Fleet Tracker software. And this is how we practically install it. We have glue, or we have a tape on the backside of the panels, and it means we clean the roof of the bus, and then it's put with tape on the top of the bus. It takes around 10 minutes per panel to mount them. And then you connect it to the charge controller, set it up with the app, and then connect to the battery. And it takes 4 to 6 hours to do the installation. So pretty simple, as Matthias informed earlier when there was a question about installation, that if your technicians are able to install a Hella light, then they can also install this. It's just the most difficult is to do the wiring in a nice way. This is how it works: sunlight to the panel, to the controller, and then to the battery. What we are doing is that we set the controller to charge the battery 0.1 to 0.2 volts higher than the set point for the alternators. That means that the alternator looks to the battery and see, okay, it's already charged. I do not need to produce power if there's sunlight enough, of course. This means that the whole drivetrain would only be concentrated around moving the bus forward and not to produce power to the battery when the sun is shining. The system is a support system. It means that, yes, we are supporting the electricity that are used in the bus from the 24 voltage system, but it's a support. We cannot provide all the power that would be needed. We just talked a little bit about the CIDS type and the crystalline glass-based type of solar panels. If you look at the green line, it's the CIDS type, where you see the production starts in the morning until the day ends. That means even very little sunlight will be absorbed by the panel and start production, whereas the typical glass-based panel, as you have on your house, that would produce very well in the midday and outperform the production from the type that we are using. But overall, a full day, the production from the CIDS type would be 10 to 15% higher. And then we have the certificates that's needed to do vehicle installations in Europe. We both have the ECER10, and we also have for Germany the ABE certificate. And it's very thin, 3 millimeters, and it has a weight around 2 kilograms per square meter, and you need no frames or anything. You just tape it directly to the bus. And if you want to remove it again, it would take you a couple of hours to take it off, and if you have to deliver the bus back without the sets. So it's also possible to move away, but you cannot install it on another bus because you need a lot of force to remove it, and that would destroy the panel itself. How do we measure our efficiencies or our results? Earlier, we were doing what we call an A to B test, where we had few vehicles or buses with solar panels compared with buses without solar panels. And all in the industry was informing us, but it's due to the driver that there is a difference of these 3 to 12%, or it's due to the traffic patterns, or it's due to all other things, and we cannot control those things. And that's also correct. So we looked into this and found that it was possible via an analysis to get data from the bus itself, from the telematic system from the bus. And when taking the data from the telematic system, it was possible to isolate the solar panel and see when is the solar panel producing and when is it not producing. That means it's a real-time measurement. When it was producing, what was the corresponding fuel consumption? And when it's not producing, for example, during night or heavy rain, what was the fuel consumption? And thereby find the average difference between solar panel producing and solar panel not producing, or the overall saving. With this, all the biases and anomalies has been removed, because you can it's the same driver, it's the same traffic pattern, it's the same route, it's the same everything, because it's real time. It's also easier to collect correct data, and it also means that everything based on the customer's own data and not something that we are saying. But this means that if the customer trusts his own data from the telematic, this is what we base, and we can then give the result with 95% accuracy. To underline the quality of the statistic, we are working together with the Danish Technological University, their data lab, to make sure that our analytic method is with the high standard that we are saying, also a third-party evaluation, and also see if we can better it. So the whole information about what would be saved, it's based on your own vehicle's telematic, and we combine it with our production from our IoT system, and then we compare the bus with itself when solar is producing and when solar is not producing. It means not a before and after situation or a bus with and without solar panel, but it's the same bus, but in two different situation where it is producing power and when it's not producing power from the solar panels. Then we use a fixed effects regression analytic tool, and we can get the result with 95% statistical confidence. That means that when we say this is what is saved in percentage or liter per 100, then it's given that with 95% accuracy, this is coming exactly from the solar panel and nothing else. It's transparent, it's peer-reviewed, and it's an audible method, and the customer can get all data because it's his data. So we will deliver everything, and at the end of a test, we would also deliver a deep dive report. Then we have some real-world results. We have made a test where we had two different sizes of solar panels, one with 8 panel and one with 12 panel, and we had the vehicles running in Europe for 9 months, from January to September. All the buses was not in from January to December, so we had in total 86 vehicle months included in the test. Very often we hear that, yes, but we are not idling a lot, or we are not parked a lot, so it would not have a huge impact. What we are seeing here is that it's only 6.2% of the overall saving that actually came from idling. We can see that from the telematic data. And this is the same picture that we are seeing from other buses, and also that we're seeing from trucks, that the idling part is around 15% only, the rest coming from driving. In this test, if we transfer the results into yearly savings, these 17 buses would have saved 31,000 liters of diesel, or 40,250 euro. The return of investment is 20 months. They saved 83 tons of CO2. The diesel saved per vehicle in average was 1,821 liter, or 2,400 euro, with a diesel price of 1.3 euro. Over a 5-year period, then the economic value after paying the set would be close to 12,000 per bus. When we look into this test, in the test period of those 9 months, we saved close to 17,000 liters in the test, and the test is based on close to 2 million kilometers been driven. So 1.8 million kilometers was included in the test. 86 vehicle months, ROI of 20 months. And another very important point here is that the analysis is based on 499,000 data points received from the telematics from the buses. So it's a quite deep dive analysis that has been made. We have some testimonials from some customers. Mark Anderson from Anderson Travel in London, who has seen 5% saving on his vehicle. Then we have Jay Miller from Flixbus in US, who is now looking into implementing it in US also. Samat, that's a truck company, but that was because that's those who has the best results with batteries, and that's where they are not changing batteries in 3 years. Heiko Moormann, that's from OVG Transport. That's a German bus company operating around out of Berlin, and they are saving 1.5 to 2 liters of fuel per 100. What we are doing now is that we are running a pilot with our customer. That's our standard way of looking into this, that we say, okay, dear customer, come and make a pilot with us. We would then do the analysis. You would need to include 5 buses, because otherwise we would not have data points enough to do our way of testing. Our way of analysis would be to be able to give the result based on telematic data with 95% accuracy or confidence. We need enough data points, and that means minimum 5 buses to be in the test. The bus runs normal in totally normal conditions. We would need access to telematics. Either we get a login, or you send a report, an Excel report to us with the data. We would make monthly checking based on average results from other buses to see, is this running in the right way? And at the end of the test, we make a full pilot review based on the telematic data. And you get what we call a within-vehicle analysis report. It's a 9-page deep dive report that we are giving. And then we would, of course, like to have had a discussion about what happens when we have reached the results that we have promised you. Would you then implement to 25 buses or 200 buses or 10 buses per month, or what is the situation? And when we make a pilot, we always send our service the first 1 or 2 buses, so that you are trained, your team is trained well in how to install it, so that we have no complications in that. And that is included in the pilot project. When we are working in this project with DECALab, we would need to point out that the data that we are collecting would need to be shared from the participants to the project. If you would like to have your name not mentioned, that would be, as far as I remember, Stephen, that would be okay, but we would need the data at least in the data pool.
Yeah, that's correct.
Many would then say, let's wait till summer when the sun is high. That's a better time to test the solar. That could be partly correct. Of course, the production would be higher in the summer period. But what we are seeing, and also what we are informing our customers, is that the best period to do a test, that would be in the winter time, and then have included, or 2 of the 4 months included, so that you would have the test done in a low radiation period, because enough data so that we can, based on 5 to 6 months in the winter time, we can give a full year projection of the results, meaning that you can then implement when the sun is high and have the most, the highest saving in your whole fleet, instead of waiting, doing the test in the summer period and then implementing in the winter time and having the least possibility to have full economical impact based on this. We are running 2 pricing models. You can purchase or you can subscribe. So you can either buy to own, or you can subscribe monthly over 36 months. So it depends if you have a CapEx way of running your business or an OpEx way of running your business. We have then made some special prices. We have the 2 sets. It depends on how much space you have on top of your bus, depending on how much equipment that would be on the roof. But the 640 set, that's an 8-panel set, and the 960 is a 12-panel set. The list price is 5,000 for the 640 set. The DECALab project price is 3,220. If we get the order and would be able to deliver in December, the price is 2,000, just below 2,700. And the same with the bigger set, which also gives the highest economical impact, but would give 1 more month's return of investment. This would, over a 5-year period, by far give the highest economical impact for you as a customer. Here, the December pricing is 3,650. If you subscribe over the 36 months, we have a December pricing of 80 euro for the small set per month. There's no down payment. It means you pay only 80 euro per month. Or if you choose the bigger set, it's 99 euro per month. And that then runs in 36 months. And after the 36 months, the price would be 49 euro for both of the sets. And it includes the Fleet Tracker software system. And we make sure that the system is running in the full subscription period. Then we have another thing, because as Stephen started saying that solar panels for a vehicle to save diesel, that sounds a bit crazy. What we have seen is that we are getting good results based on this, and we also trust our system, meaning that we are actually prepared to give you a guarantee that you would never have a longer return of investment than 24 months, or 4% in saving, or 1.5 liter per 100. If we cannot reach one of these 3, then we adjust the price to 24 months ROI. That means, just an example, if you have paid 10,000 and it turns out that the ROI is 2,500, then we adjust the price down after the test period to 2,500 and pay you back the money, so that you have the 24 months of return of investment. If you have subscribed, then you only pay in 24 months and not 36 if we cannot reach the promised goals. And then you, of course, keep the system operational, and we keep supporting you with the support and service and warranty. And this also means that you would still see the battery benefits, and you would also see the fuel saving that then is lower than what. So this was our presentation. Then it's just what is next step with you, and also you can visit us at greenenergy.pro and not .com. It's .pro. our homepage is. And I also believe that our email addresses would be visible in the meeting invite, or it would be shared afterwards so that you can contact us or contact the others. There was a question if the price includes installation, if it's subscription. Yes and no, as informed before. If we just go back to the pricing here, to be part of the pilot program, you need to take minimum 5 buses. If you take 5 buses, then no matter which pricing model you choose, we would come and support you with installation of the first one or two buses in your workshop or with your service partner. And that's the same if you purchase or if you subscribe. But we do not install all the buses. If we have to install all the buses, then we need to make an agreement around that, and we charge 120 euro per hour plus accommodation cost. Yes. Was that the answer to the question? Other questions, some technical questions? No?
And don't hesitate to open your mic. It doesn't have to be via chat. So, free podium.
Well, if there are no questions now, you can always send them to me, to my email address, louis.vermeulen@buzzle.org, and I will make contact with René and get back to you ASAP with the answers, of course.
Yeah, and you can also contact us at Green Energy, and we would then support you finding the right solution for your bus operations, and also make agreement about when to do the installation, etc. Yeah.
Right. So thank you, René, for the presentation. I thank
You're
everyone
welcome.
for joining the webinar. This will be placed on the website somewhere next week. So if you want to rewatch it, you'll be able to. As I said, if there are any more questions, you can always send them to me. And if you are interested in the pilot program, you can always send that as well.
I just would like to ask, het Nederlands doen, is het aanbod van Green Energy, is dat nu duidelijk voor iedereen in het kader van dit project? Het is toch belangrijk, als we dit willen testen, dat we een aantal bedrijven vinden die inderdaad die installatie willen doen en die de testresultaten willen delen. Dat zou toch goed zijn om hier wat input van de bedrijven te krijgen.
Als ik spreken misschien. Ik heb ergens wel interesse in, maar het probleem bij mij is dat ik maar 1 autocar heb, een Mercedes Turismo. Dus ja, als het pas vanaf 5 bussen te doen is, ja, dan zit ik persoonlijk wel vast, bij wijze van spreken. Ja. Ook qua kostprijs waarschijnlijk.
Ja, Louis, dat gaan we moeten voorleggen. Hè?
Ja.
Yeah, I think a solution would be, for example, I'm gonna check first the prices and everything at these with the slides. But when we do this, we can, I think, easily do minimum 5 buses, and then we make an agreement. For instance, I do 2, you do 1, we do 3, and we combine it together in one place, where, as you said, they first make the first or second 2 buses, and then we go on with it in an installation point. I don't know where it can be, Van Tichem, Zevenhem, or another place. I don't know where we have this do that. I don't think this is the problem. I'm gonna look into the figures.
Very interesting and a good solution, I think.
Clarify for René. So the question was, what for companies which have only one bus or two buses, can they join forces and then group everything together so that we at minimum have 5 buses in total? I think that's a bit of the summary of the question what was posed.
Yes.
Matthias, would that be possible? Because there could be something with the telematic system. If it's coming from 3 or 4 different telematic systems, then it might be a challenge. I do not know. Do you know anything about that, Matthias?
I don't know. I think anything is possible. A challenge is a challenge. That just means Varnen has a lot more work to do.
Okay, so that was. Let's find out.
That's how Denmark became European champion also one time.
92. Yeah. Yeah, that was the day before I turned 18, so I remember very well. So
it was my birth year, so I don't remember.
And all the audience, we have one of these analytic reports that's made anonym that we could share if anybody is interested. It's a 9 pages deep dive where there's a lot of analytic methodology information, but also all the results and an executive summary of the test that was made with these 1.8 million kilometers driven and the payback time. One thing that was special in that test was that the buses was driving 20,000 kilometers per month, meaning that they have been running a lot of night travel or night driving. So the percentage is lower, but the overall saving is high.
Yeah, that's a good idea. When I upload this webinar on the website, I will include this 9-pager.
Yeah, I think I already shared it to you, didn't I?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but it's a very, very interesting ecological solution for our bus companies to have better ecological footprints also. And that's very important these days because fully electrical, I don't see it become a good thing for tourism buses. So with these solar panels, and it would save a lot of costs, a lot of fuel, and a lot of emissions. So it would be a very, very good solution. So I'm in. Of me.
Okay. There was a question: how long time will the offer last, or the DECA lab? What was it said? We have for the project that we are having, so that we can. Then I hope that I can find the pricing page. Come on. We have the December pricing. That means that the order will need to be placed in December. That's the lowest price, but otherwise we have the standard price for DECA lab. Now very close, I hope. Yeah, here it is. So the standard price for the smaller set is 3,220 or 4,250 for the bigger. And if you choose to purchase and get delivery in December, then we come in January and do the installation. You would get the 1,000 close to 700 or 3,650, or also the lower subscription price.
seen the coordination that will be needed from the project team as well, and seen the Christmas holidays coming up. We would appreciate it if we could extend this price until February. That would give us the opportunity to coordinate between the Belgian operators and describe the tests in a coordinated way, and have more participants in it, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So if you just could think about that within green energy, I think before the end of this year, which means 2 more working weeks coming up, might be difficult.
Yeah, and that's also why I gave this price, because it's also a difficult month for us to reach our figures. So that's the reason why we also did this special offering for December. But I would look into that. But
think about it, please. Yes,
we would appreciate if we could get some of the orders in December.
There's an issue also. For instance, when I'm thinking about something, I get, for instance, 8 Turismos in the beginning of next year. I promised for January, February. I don't know exactly when. I have to check with Mercedes also if this is a possible item to do. And then I'm thinking about do it on 5 or 6 equal vehicles in one time. But we have to go in a technical issue. I'm not a technical specialist, so I have to get informed by other people, and this is impossible to do in December.
Yeah. Okay. Matthias, this is about installing on the vehicles. For example, the Mercedes. I know that we are running a test with Mercedes factory already. We have done that over a year. But as far as I understand, we are following the OEM description of how to install, correct?
When we install, if we are in doubt, we either adhere to the OEM standards or tell whoever builds to ask them if there's any doubt.
Yeah, but when I do it, for instance, on new vehicles, and I have a guarantee of X years, and I'm changing the electrical installation, and something happens, I know what the answer of Mercedes will be.
Yes, and
it's my fault.
You're not the first one to ask. And what we actually do when we install is we go directly to battery, so we don't interfere with the vehicle's electrical system in any way. It's straight to battery, so we don't interfere in any way.
Okay.
And also that's also why we're following the OEM standard of installation, and we don't have any contact to CAN bus or any electrical system. We only, as Matthias said, the only contact point on the bus. The bus technology is the battery itself and nothing else.
But would you think it's important to have some kind of clearance from the OEMs?
I don't know.
We know from already that we are not getting any. We would not be able to get an approval from a factory that we can install it, because then it needs to be delivered as an OEM product. That's the same as if you ask the factory if they accept an external supplier as of disc brakes, if they would approve that as an OEM standard. They would never in factory. So, but they have standards in how to install it following the OEM connection, and it's the same as if you are installing a HELLA lights on your buses. Then you also have to follow a standard how to do that electrically, and that's the same that we are doing with our system.
Well, I think this meeting here is mentioning the importance of not risking the guarantees offered by the OEMs.
No, but we have, as we informed, we have more than 2,000 vehicles running, and we have not had any trouble with OEM warranty at all. We have not
Okay.
seen that.
Okay.
No, in Denmark, MAN themselves have installed buses at their own MAN workshops here in Denmark. So they have no problem with it at all.
Mercedes also through their leasing program, also with installation at Mercedes dealer also. And in Sweden, we are selling through Scania and Volvo also dealers. So we are selling through the dealerships already around Europe. But to get a written approval from the factory, that would not be possible.
They hardly do that on what they would call extra.
Looking back at the operators, how do you respond to that? Is that answer satisfying to you, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if my technical people say it doesn't give a problem, I don't see the problem, then it's okay. I don't know. I have to check.
Okay.
Otherwise,
I
feel
am
free
also,
to reach out.
I'm also pretty confident about this because, as you say, the only contact point is the battery. So there's really minimal risk, but nevertheless, I will contact our sales guy at Evo. Be positive, honestly.
Yeah. And back to your question about the 8 buses, we could also, or how many it was, we also be able to do it the way that you can place the order in December and then have delivery when the buses is coming. And we can also agree that it's acceptable that you adjust the order towards what would be the actual situation when the buses is coming.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's a possibility because you know when they're promised, but you don't know when they're coming.
No, but that's for us. It's also we would like to have it into our order backlog, because then we also know that it's we can prepare, and we can also organize better if we know what is coming in the future.
Okay.
And also because that we know we have systems on stock now, so we can then put them aside. And I know that our purchase department is negotiating with the factory at the moment if the price would be kept or not. So that's also one of our challenges at the moment, that they are fighting to keep the prices. I hope that they would succeed, of course, but if any of you would like to have a specific offer, and also where we agree what is the conditions, that you say, okay, I order now, and I expect to take delivery in Q2, Q1. And you can also adjust the number of buses if you don't get the buses, or there is other things that would also be acceptable.
Okay.
Okay, that's
So
interesting.
I would be very flexible.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but René, you have to give us the opportunity to communicate this with all the Flemish companies.
Yes.
Not only the people present here in this meeting, which have shown great interest.
Yes.
So we'll do what we can to communicate as soon as possible with all the companies, see who is interested, and then let's say join join the request.
Yes, because what we would like to do is that then we would make, of course, a specific quote to the company, so that we have the companies getting the quotation also know what is actually the agreement, what have we agreed, so that it's not just verbal. Everybody knows what was actually the agreement, and they can trust what's what we have agreed.
Okay.
Als ik misschien, sorry, persoonlijk even, nee, persoonlijk niet, maar ik wil zeggen aan Jan iets mag vragen. Misschien dat het een stimulans kan zijn als er zou geweten worden, ook bij de Vlaamse bedrijven, of dat er eventueel ook een steunmogelijkheid is qua subsidie via Vlaio.
Ja, op dit moment niet. De technologie is te jong, moet eigenlijk nog aangetoond worden.
Ja.
Maar we kunnen het gesprek via Vlaio uiteraard wel openen. Maar eigenlijk is dat dan een regeringsbeslissing. Dus...
Ja, dat gaat niet over 1 nacht ijs, natuurlijk.
Nee. Maar goed, het is iets wat we open houden daar.
Ja.
René, the question was about Belgian subsidies possible for this technology, which is not available yet,
No.
but we're working on that. That's one thing. One last question, and I see some people present here. We talked about this technology. Some companies have some expertise with solar panels, and the overall remark was that the surface available on the roof of the vehicles is not big enough to have, let's say, a valuable result, something that gives really return on investment. What is your experience there, René? How much surface do you need? Because in some cases we have batteries on the roof, we have HVAC systems on the roof.
Matthias, maybe you would answer that one.
Sure.
Also based on the test that we have done with the Austrian company, then we also know how much space we had there and the other we have installed.
Yeah, well, as you all know, no roof is the same. So it always depends from bus to bus and from company to company, depending on how much AVAC or if it's electrical, how many batteries is on the roof. So sometimes it's a bit customer specific. Usually we always on, at least on the big coaches, have room for a 640 or 960. That much space we don't take. If it's a smaller bus, then perhaps a smaller set, like 380 or something like that. And then the price will go down and the return of investment will follow that price. So it's actually pretty linear.
Okay.
And the panels, when we talk about the set sizes 640, 960, the standard sets for coaches is either 8 panels or 12 panels, and they are 35 centimeters in the width and 1 meter and 85 in the length. So it's also, I know that other suppliers in the business has extremely huge, towards what we are having, very huge panels. This means that the flexibility with the solution that we are having is quite high.
Yes.
Okay.
And for the very small ones, like the VIP van buses and stuff like that, we actually have smaller sets. We have seen they are great as well for battery maintenance, for when you have the tailgate lift is used a lot. So there's a niche as well you can think of. We have quite a bit of experience in that as well.
Okay.
And if we just one remark about the order and delivery and things like that, when we receive an order from a customer, we never invoice before we deliver. So this means that if you place an order in December or in January and say that the delivery is not before in March or when it is, or April, etc., the invoice would not be sent before we deliver.
Okay. We have to think about that, how, as we said, how we bundle, Louis,
Yes.
how we bundle the demand from the Flemish side here. See how we can facilitate things for the companies there. Yeah, that's why we need some time. But
Yeah.
Stuff to think about.
okay.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. So next week you will be able to see this webinar on the DECALab website together with the document that Renee sent me. And other than that, if you have any more questions, just feel free to contact me. I'll reply as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for the interesting webinar.
Yeah. Also,
Thanks,
thank you
everyone.
for the
Bye.
questions.
Thank you for the questions.
Bye-bye.